What are the 10 most popular Netflix shows of all time? I thought this was going to be a really easy question to answer because I already knew number one was definitely going to be Stranger Things, but it's not. And when I started thinking of other popular Netflix shows I'd heard of, they weren't even in the top 10. Some of the top 10 shows I'd never even heard of. So that got me thinking, if Netflix is the most popular paid streaming service, how have I not even heard of some of their most popular shows? Well, it's probably because Netflix has a butt ton of shows, more than 4,000 shows globally in the second half of 2023, which might be why you feel like it's really hard to find something to watch on Netflix. And if you do, you're not alone, because on average, in 2023, it took people up to 10.5 minutes to find something to watch on streaming services. So to help people with this problem, I wanted to create this video revealing Netflix's top 10 most popular shows of all time. This ranking is based on global viewership data directly from Netflix, which you can find on their website. If you want to learn more about how Netflix ranks its shows and movies, check out the video description below for more information. Now with that out of the way, let's start our list with number 10, Fool Me Once. Fool Me Once is a limited series that premiered in January 2024. There are actually 2 other limited series that made the list, but we'll get to those later. In addition to being number 10 on this list, Fool Me Once was also the second most watched new or returning show in America in 2024 across all streaming services, only behind Fallout on Prime Video. Here's the synopsis. After her husband is brutally murdered, ex-soldier Maya spots someone on the nanny cam she has installed to keep an eye on her young daughter. Someone who is supposed to be dead, her husband. She then uncovers a deadly conspiracy that stretches deep into the past. The show is based on a mystery thriller novel written by American author Harlan Coben. This is just one of 8 of his books that have been adapted into TV shows on Netflix. The most upvoted review on IMDb says, it's a bit cookie cutter in that it has a similar plot to Harlan Coben's other books, and has many cliches from this genre, but it also says they enjoyed it, the sets were beautiful, and it might even help you get ideas for your next couch. But the next show on our list is also a thriller, and it has better reviews. And that's The Night Agent Season 1. Season 1 of The Night Agent premiered in 2023, and Season 2 is expected in 2024. It was the 3rd most watched new or returning show in America in 2023, across all streaming services, only behind Ted Lasso on Apple TV+, and Ginny and Georgia on Netflix. The Night Agent is an action thriller centering on a low-level FBI agent who works in the basement of the White House, manning a phone that never rings, until one night it does, which propels him into a fast-moving and dangerous conspiracy that ultimately leads all the way to the Oval Office. It's based on a political conspiracy thriller novel written by American author Matthew Quirk. The most upvoted review on IMDb says it's an entertaining watch, but you have to suspend your logic a bit when watching. So far, both shows on our list have been in English, but the next 2 shows on our list are not. First, at number 8, we have Lupin Season 1. Season 1 of Lupin premiered in 2021. There are currently 3 seasons, but the 4th season hasn't been confirmed yet. The show is in French and is actually the only French show on our list. Lupin is about a man named Hassan Diop who sets out to avenge his father for an injustice inflicted by a wealthy family. It's a retelling of the classic French story about Arsène Lupin, the world-famous gentleman thief and master of disguise, created by French novelist and short story writer Maurice Leblanc in 1905. The character has since then appeared in 17 novels and 39 novellas. The most upvoted review on IMDb says, the actor who plays the main character is very good, and that the show easily kept their attention. Now the next show on our list is an even more popular European show, this time from Spain. Up next is Money Heist Season 4. Season 4 of Money Heist premiered in 2020. The 5th and final season ended in 2021, but now there are 2 spin-off shows, Money Heist Korea, Joint Economic Area, and Money Heist Berlin. This show is in Spanish and is actually the only Spanish show on our list. Here's the synopsis. A criminal mastermind who goes by The Professor has a plan to pull off the biggest heist in recorded history, stealing 2.5 billion euros from the Royal Mint of Spain. To help him carry out this ambitious plan, he recruits 8 people with certain abilities and who have nothing to lose. Money Heist was actually the most watched non-English Netflix show since its premiere in 2017, until 4 years later, when another non-English show surpassed it in 2021. But we'll get to that later. One of the most popular reviews on IMDb said, "This show was like a game of chess between the police and the robbers, and also that it's unpredictable." And that IMDb review is actually the perfect segue into our next show on our list, which is literally a game of chess. Queen's Gambit. The Queen's Gambit was a limited series released in 2020. It's the second most popular limited series on our list, only behind number 4, which we'll get to in a bit. But first, let's talk about the show. Beth Harmon becomes an orphan at the age of 9. She's an introvert, but also a prodigy, who goes on to discover and master the game of chess in 1960s USA. But child stardom comes at a price. There are actually a lot of interesting fun facts about the show, so I wanted to mention 3. It took writer and producer Alan Scott 30 years to get this show into production. During that time, he rewrote the story 9 times and approached several studios to make the show, but each studio rejected it, as they believed that nobody would be interested in chess. Which was ironic because this show became one of the most viewed shows on Netflix, attracting almost 113 billion viewers globally within the first 91 days of its debut. In the 3 weeks after the show premiered, sales of chess sets increased 87% in the US, and sales of chess books increased more than 600%. And one fun fact for the hardcore chess fans, Netflix actually got 2 chess consultants to help them create the show. So unlike a majority of the movies and TV shows about chess, the chess boards in the show are always set up correctly, and the games and positions are realistic. One of the most upvoted reviews on IMDb said, "Definitely don't start this show late at night, because there's a good chance you'll end up binging it until 5 a.m. like they did." And this person said they didn't even know anything about chess, but they love the show. So if you like chess, or period or psychological dramas in general, you might like this show too. And speaking of period dramas, the next show on our list is actually Netflix's most popular period drama ever. No, not The Crown, but The Crown's younger, less serious cousin, who also happens to come with a mature TV rating. Bridgerton Season 1. Season 1 of Bridgerton premiered in 2020 and was the show's most popular season. Bridgerton is about the 8 close-knit siblings of the Bridgerton family who look for love and happiness in London high society, set in Regency-era England. The Regency era was the period between 1811 and 1820, when George, Prince of Wales, acted as the temporary king of Great Britain while his father, George III, was ill. However, the Regency era is also commonly referred to as the period between 1795 and 1837, which people seem to really like because there were a lot of balls and cool dresses during this time period. The show is based on a series of 8 historical romance fiction novels written by American author Julia Quinn. Based on the IMDb reviews, it seems like there were a lot of people who either loved or hated this show. From what I could tell at least, a lot of the negative reviews seem to be around the fact that the show is not historically accurate, and also that the show was a Walmart version of Downton Abbey, which is a great show by the way. But there was one review that I thought was actually pretty helpful. It explains that if you're expecting the show to be historically accurate, or like Downton Abbey, you're going to be disappointed, because that's not what the show is trying to be. They said that the show is more similar to like a Hallmark Christmas romance movie, but with more mature scenes and classical versions of modern songs. Also, my sister liked this show. And now, the next show on our list is the most popular limited series ever on Netflix. More popular than both The Queen's Gambit and Fool Me Once, Dahmer. It's a limited series that premiered in 2022. In addition to being number 4 on this list, Dahmer was also the 5th most watched new or returning show in America in 2022 across all streaming services, only behind 4 other Netflix shows: Stranger Things, Ozark, Wednesday, and Cobra Kai. This show is about cannibalistic serial killer Jeffrey Dahmer, aka the Milwaukee Monster, one of the most notorious serial killers in the United States. The most upvoted review on IMDb says, "This show is hard to watch," which, given the subject matter, is to be expected. And the acting is great. To be honest, before creating this list, I was pretty confident that our next show would be number 1 on this list. But it's actually only number 3. Stranger Things Season 4. Season 4 of Stranger Things premiered in 2022. The show is finally coming to an end with its 5th and final season, which is expected to premiere sometime in 2025. Here's the synopsis. When a young boy vanishes, a small town in Indiana uncovers a mystery involving secret experiments, terrifying supernatural forces, and one strange little girl. Now, here's a fun fact that shows just how popular this show really is. In Season 4, one of the characters' favorite songs is Running Up That Hill by Kate Bush. After the season premiered, the song went on to become number 1 on the US iTunes chart in the first week of the season's release. For context, when the song first released in 1985, it didn't get higher than number 30 on the US Billboard chart. Stranger Things first premiered in 2016, and I have a lot of good memories watching this show with my wife and our family, which is why this show is definitely family TV Guide approved. But don't just take my word for it. The most upvoted review on IMDb says, the show's story will immediately hook you. It has the perfect amount of 1980s nostalgia, and when you watch it, you'll be scared, intrigued, and completely invested. Another popular review on IMDb says, it's a spectacular mashup of the classic movie E.T., The X-Files, and the 80s in general. And now, the next show on our list took 2023 by storm, and quickly became Netflix's second most popular new show of all time, Wednesday. Season 1 of Wednesday premiered in 2022. Season 2 is expected to premiere in late 2025. In addition to being number 2 on this list, Wednesday was also the 5th most watched new or returning show in America in 2022 across all streaming services, only behind 2 other Netflix shows, Stranger Things and Ozark. Here's the synopsis. While attending Nevermore Academy, Wednesday Addams attempts to master her emerging psychic ability, thwart a killing spree, and solve the mystery that embroiled her parents 25 years ago. There are actually a lot of interesting fun facts about this show, so I wanted to mention 3. The source material for this show is the Addams Family comics, which were first published in 1938 in The New Yorker, then made into a TV show in the 60s, some movies in the 90s, and most recently, 2 animated movies. Wednesday Addams is played by Jenna Ortega, and to prepare for this role, she actually had to do a lot, including learning to play the cello, and taking lessons on fencing, archery, canoeing, German, and boxing. There's a scene in the show where Wednesday is at her school's dance, and the dance she does, as well as her expressionless face, went viral. If you search Wednesday dance on TikTok, more than 1 billion posts come up. The most popular post has more than 180 million views and says, "This is how I'm going to dance at every party from now on." After you watch the show, be sure to try it out the next time you're at a party, the club, or just at the grocery store. The most upvoted review on IMDb says they thought this show was just going to be another awful Netflix adaptation, but they thought it was funny, well made, and they liked that Wednesday Addams was smart, witty, and honestly kind of scary. And now it's time for the top show on our list, Netflix's most popular show of all time, Squid Game. Season 1 of Squid Game premiered in 2021. Season 2 will come out on December 26, 2024, and then the show will end with Season 3 sometime in mid-2025. Here's the synopsis. Hundreds of cash-strapped players accept a strange invitation to compete in children's games. Inside, a tempting prize awaits, with deadly high stakes. A survival game that has a 45.6 billion won prize at stake. And I don't want to spoil anything, but the contestants have to play 7 different games to win, and one of them might be a game of red light, green light with the scary and deadly robot girl. Here's some fun facts. The creator of Squid Game developed the show 10 years ago, but was rejected by media companies and actors until Netflix finally gave it a chance. This show was a cultural phenomenon. An estimated 265 million people globally watched it in the first 91 days of its premiere. And the green tracksuits the contestants wore on the show became a popular Halloween costume. The show's popularity spawned many spin-offs, both from Netflix and famous content creators. Netflix created a spin-off game show in 2023 called Squid Game: The Challenge. The #1 YouTuber MrBeast spent $3.5 million to create a video called Squid Game in Real Life, where 456 contestants played the same games from the show and competed for $456,000. It got more than 640 million views and became his most watched video of all time. I remember when I first heard of Squid Game, my wife and I started watching. Before we knew it, we had already binged all 9 episodes in just 2 days, which is why this show is definitely TV Guide approved and Mrs. TV Guide approved. The most upvoted review on IMDb says it's a great show, but the one thing they didn't like is the acting from a group of side characters called the VIPs, which they say was horrible. So to recap, here's what the final top 10 list looks like. I hope this video helps you find your next show to watch.